This is Immortals of Aveum. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So the reason we're returning to this game is it is the first implementation of FSR 3 on console, which is rather exciting if you're into the technology side of things and how that can potentially improve the quality of the experience. So we have to go to settings and we have to go to display, and for whatever reason it's not on by default, so you actually have to turn it on frame gen, and then it should be good to go. And yeah, FSR 3 is just kind of applicable, but you want frame gen as that's supposed to help you make sure that you are keeping the frame rate level going. So this is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and it is incredibly demanding as an Unreal Engine 5 game, and one that really genuinely struggled to provide quality picture and gameplay and performance when we originally played through it when the game did release. So what are we getting here? As per usual, we've got that 720p being like temporarily upscaled to 4K at 60 FPS with lumen ray tracing for lighting and whatnot. And yeah, now we've got the FSR 3 frame gen, which actually does help with the performance levels. And you know what? The updates they've done to the game since the launch of the title actually have improved the picture quality quite a bit. I mean, it still looks like a game where they are struggling to actually provide a quality resolution experience, but I think the picture quality is a lot more clear than it used to be, and the frame rate does seem to be a lot smoother. Now, keep in mind, for FSR 3, the technology here is more about the, I guess you would say, performance, as opposed to necessarily making any kind of actual change to the picture quality of, your experience. So that might sound a little odd, but yeah, so FSR 2 and FSR 3, they're definitely like elements of improvement upon one another, for sure. But all it does is mostly just kind of focus on the frame gen technology and a little bit of, I guess you would say, some of the fuzziness of some of the picture. So that in turn does help a little bit with the quality, but we're not having massive gains in terms of like completely, revamping the visual aesthetic and whatnot of games. Does that make this game better? I don't know. It still seems to struggle a little bit, and it does still painfully look like something that is 720p, but at the same time, it's not like completely muddy soup. Like, I used to kind of compare this to being basically like a Switch like game at times in terms of the visual aesthetic and stuff like that, where it really was so murky that you couldn't even genuinely tell what anything was in the game. And that is not a good way to kind of play it, because there's sequences where you're like fighting like aquatic ones, and just the whole world is so, like, not even visually usable, in the sense that it's just, like, pixelated nonsense. So we still have, like, our classic FSR shimmer on, like, water and stuff like that, and it's just a little bit better. That's the thing. And hopefully a little bit smoother in some situations for the performance levels of the game. Like, again, you could still, to me, you could really see that the game is kind of struggling, but like, it's a lot better than it was. It still looks like 720p. It still looks like a game that would be available on another platform and then ported to Switch, and this would be like the result of it. But we get that UE5 geometry, texture design. It is pushing 60 FPS. It is a Magic-based game. They have genuinely improved the technology here. It really is a lot better. Let's go to Orman, I think. Might be a good spot. The library. Trying to think of a nice area to kind of go to. The Underwell, Seren. The Shoulder Realm. Let's do the underwell. Well, I kind of like showing off the desert. Where are we over here? We can go to Lucium, Yethlium, Orman. Let's just go to Orman. We'll go to the Sky Islands. Off we go! Whoa! I know, so exciting. They also added HDR support a while back, I guess. So that's kind of cool that that is present within the game. And, yeah, from like a technical standpoint, I do think it's really important that they actually took the time to kind of update this game. I don't... Like, it seems to still have, like, a stutter, and it's still, like, the performance to me doesn't really feel perfect. But, like, again, the mixture of visuals looking better... Why does it look like that's all really fake there with the floating stuff? And then just the picture quality being a lot better. And, like, the combat and the action actually being something that you can, like, visually sort of see now, I think is... really, really quite awesome, because beforehand it really was just sort of muddy and aesthetically just kind of awful. It really was. It was pretty bad to look at most of the time. And I think if you watched my streams of it, where I actually sat there and worked through the game, it's just really wasn't that great to look at. Okay, somehow I survived. So this was appreciated. I didn't think this was going to happen. I kind of figured it was going to be one of those games where they sort of like, you know, they release it and it just doesn't work and they call it a day and they kind of forget about it. So I will give it to them that they actually did support this game in the long term. They did actually attempt to improve the experience, add more to it. I guess there's some like new kind of post-game type stuff you can enjoy too, and yeah, I will always give props to efforts like that. The game itself, you know, is still the game itself. They've rebalanced some things, adjusted some difficulty stuff, changed and tweaked some things here or there. It's still the sort of the same experience. And unless we get to see this sort of get like a next-gen update on a future console, it's still not going to be perfect visually and stuff, and I think it really is just that element of being stuck with FSR that we're just kind of like, on console we just have to deal with things. But this really is, like if you watched my stuff when this came out or you played it, this is a wonderfully, remarkably large improvement to the quality of the experience. Like this actually feels a lot better to play. Which, to some degree, isn't saying a whole lot because, you know, the basis of this wasn't great, but you can actually have like a quality experience where all the geometry actually looks proper, not like fuzzy, where we've got like, oh, that's not good, you know, world details that actually look proper. The frame rate isn't just like dying the whole time. It's not terrible. I can't remember. Oh yeah, we're supposed to like hook that. Yeah, I forgot. We're supposed to be able to hook this stuff. You know, we got the swinging whip of freedom, and it's not letting me hook to get over to that area, which is kind of a little disheartening there. But yeah, you're supposed to use your power whip. I roll my whip back and forth, and then from there you're able to like kind of flow to different places and stuff. It's a neat kind of game. So yeah, that's the biggest part of this, is now it's just a much more playable experience. Like if you were sort of holding off because the performance level and the visuals weren't doing it for you, now is the time to go and give this one a whirl, and you might actually kind of like it. So we're going to dive in and talk about the experience a bit for those that maybe aren't familiar with this game, as this might be your first showcase of what Immortals of Aveum is. But yeah, at the beginning of this video, it was mostly to talk about how the technology has actually improved this. And I would really like to see this, like, actually being used at, like, a full 4K and, you know, not having to fully rely on this, like, FSR or something. I think it would actually be a pretty nice looking game, because these particle effects and stuff that really make up the game, they look so muddy in that because the resolution quality is so low. And you can only do so much, you know? Like, going from 720p all the way up to 4K is, like, that's a lot, right? Like, you know, DLSS can handle that a little bit better, but there's limitations, and there's reasons there's limitations, because you can really only take things so far. But you know, admirable, yeah, to actually be the first FSR 3 game on consoles, like, it's a big deal. I mean, obviously, I'm kind of awaiting, I guess you would say, the next advancement for FSR, so we actually get better picture and stuff. But you know, is what it is what it is for sure. So Immortals of Aveum is a first-person, magic-based shooter game, which I think is kind of obvious if you've been watching the gameplay to any degree while we've been playing it. But yeah, you're sort of thrown into this war of mages and stuff, and you're kind of, I guess you would say, like a younger, kind of eager mage, and they're dealing with, like, the death of magic and everything like that, and there's this whole backstory, and you gotta try to piece it together to figure out, you know, how to fix this problem and deal with the big war between, like, the mages and this, like, this other warring faction, and you're just kind of caught in the middle of these ideals and this big conflict, and you're just trying to, I don't know, I guess, be a middle person in this bigger battle that's going on. And of course there's some surprises and twists and boss battles along the way, and some other little hidden secrets throughout. And yeah, that's kind of the gist of the game, really. It is. You go in, you do these, like, battles, you visit these different areas. It's kind of a decent length for a game that is like a shooter type game. I think the story left a little bit to be desired in terms of narrative, and they do repeat some areas, and they do that really kind of lame element where it's like there's dream world scapes where it's reusing older stuff in the game, and yeah, I don't know, that stuff wasn't the best. And then there's the color-based shooting for combat, which is kind of neat, and oh, this is still kind of chugging here. Yeah, FSR 3 does its best, what can I say? But yeah, it's like, it's neat from the element of, wow, we really do not have enough magic-based games. Like, honestly, I'd love to have more games kind of like this, but I would like them to be a little better, as to say. Like, I didn't mind playing this. I think at this point, if you've been holding off, it's, you know, it's worth a go. Like, they've done good work to this. They've wanted it to be better. They've improved their product. And I think you can enjoy the story and the gameplay a little bit more now that you can actually, like, see some things. Like, it's still, this really looks like, I don't know how to describe it. It's the flash in the technology of today, but still, like, weirdly the feeling aesthetic of something from a couple gens ago, and not in, like, a good way, if that makes sense. Like, it comes across as slightly dated. But I love these, like, weird particle effects that you shoot out of your hand. I love the combat style, the weird weapons you use, the crazy twisted enemies, and, you know, like, this part's really, really cool where you're sort of just twisting your finger and you're blasting off all these shots. It's really neat, and the game itself kind of ambitious in terms of, like, you know, the studio putting together an original type game like this. I didn't, you know, I wasn't blown away by it. Let's be real here, though. Like, honestly, you know, I reviewed this game, I gave my thoughts on it back in the day, and this is more of a technology update. It's not like the narrative is, you know, completely been rewritten or anything. Like, this is the game I played previously, so that's not changing, right? Like, it's still that kind of game, but it's giving you a little bit of context now, because I'm assuming some people are maybe looking at it for the first time and kind of wanting to get thoughts and, you know, is it worth checking out? And you know what? It's a perfectly serviceable, average sort of shooter game that's okay. The story's not going to blow your mind, the characters aren't going to be like, oh, you know, unforgettable stuff, but I think you'll have some fun diving in and seeing what this has to offer. These guys are absolutely killing me here. Yeah, I'm going to die. Yeah, I'm really feeling the pain of these enemies. They are actually too powerful. I wonder why that is the case. I have died. Really? Yeah, no way. But they give you cool tools, cool abilities. You feel sleek and intense, kind of moving through the environment, slipping around, blasting stuff, causing chaos. And then, yeah, just seeing all these, like, crazy particle effects whipping across your screen is really, really quite satisfying. Like, I love when it gets busy like this. I just wish the resolution could keep up to really make these kind of hits and stuff be conveyed in the way that they're kind of intended to be, if that makes sense. Like, it probably looks way cooler on a PC that can handle it, or I don't know if there's any, well, many PCs out there that can do this one in its proper way just because of how advanced Unreal Engine 5 is. Like, I'm kind of, to some degree, I'm glad that they did something ambitious and crazy like this, but I also wonder if maybe some older tech would have helped this one a little bit more to some degree, or at least allow it to, I don't know, kind of showcase itself in a better way, if that makes sense. Because it just really, a lot of this came down to, like, you know, aesthetics and stuff, and performance being a huge problem right off the bat. It feels almost like a gen early. Like, the gameplay feels like it's a gen or two late. And the story and stuff, but like the, you know, the visuals in that feel like they're a gen too early in terms of being able to, like, actually deliver on their premise and design concept. Why is this so hard? This is ridiculous. Like, I guess I gotta be in the flow of the combat, like, you gotta match the colors and stuff, but that is a little ridiculous. I'm just trying to get past this area to showcase another spot, and I'm just getting absolutely railed by these enemies. And, like, it, again, I think overambition is maybe a killer for this game. I'm literally stuck in this area? You've got to be kidding me. I can't escape anyway. I have to fight these guys? That doesn't even make any sense. Why would you be... Why is this a thing here? I don't want to fight these guys. I can't jump away on the thingy. And they keep killing me, and I'm just stuck in this area here? I can't get out? There's no escape? Why would they do this to me? And there's gear, and there's talents, and there's skills like all these games have, and you know, it's really is kind of your typical kind of thing. I don't know, it's just, it'd be really neat if it does happen and this game gets like a next gen update, or maybe I check it out someday on like a future kind of console or a future PC rig and just really see this thing at its full beautiful level. But for now, it's just kind of like, you know, a little underwhelming in that regard. So it's an okay game. It might be worth playing now if you're into like a magic shooter. I don't know why I got stuck in this area. This is actually like really aggravating because I wanted to show off more and talk about it, but probably gonna have to restart the game to be able to escape the spot. I don't know why anyone would design a level like... Well, then again, a lot of the design elements of this game don't really make a whole lot of sense either, do they? But, yeah, Immortals of Aveum. Kind of cool. The FSR 3 tech and the frame gen tech particularly, I think, adds a lot. I'm hoping to see more games do that in the future, like embrace this and do some cool things with it. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if they do. But I would imagine there will likely be some more games doing this, and this is just, of all games, the weirdest of games to get it. This is an odd personal choice to see, because I would have liked... Well, I guess this is a good one in the sense that, like, it really suffers the most from Unreal Engine 5, but yeah, where are all the FSR 3 enabled games? I think we were supposed to get a lot more of them, and we just haven't seen them pop up yet, which is a bit disappointing. I just want to die and get out of this area. Please allow me to escape Immortals of Aveum. You're punishing me for re-downloading this game and trying to check it out. It's a nightmare. 25 spells, 80 talents, discover magic, get spawn trapped in one area where you're not allowed to leave for some stupid reason because the game just hates you, and it's like, oh, you shouldn't have returned to Immortals of Aveum. You made a big mistake. And I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling it, because this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But anyways, hope this showcased the update well. And FSR 3, here we come.